I mean, we talked before the podcast and you were like, oh, I was going to ask what your passion is, right? And right now I'm in a place of trying to figure myself out that I don't even have an answer to that. Another path that I'm on right now is self-love. Everyone has a different story on why they start their path to healing, right? And that's when you start realizing that it's kind of like, okay, something's not right. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers. Thanks for coming back.
Yes, always good to be back. I'm always excited to talk to you. How are you? What's new?
I mean, I feel like, well, first of all, just to remind you, we did our first episode July 2021. So it's been like just about a year.
Oh,
wow. Which is crazy.
Almost there. Damn, and how so much has fucking changed. I'm so excited to get into it.
I'm excited to hear about it.
Good stuff over here.
But yeah, I don't know. The past couple days, though, just because like I know we've talked about it before, how like everyone's always like, oh yeah, I'm fine, everything's good, and I'm like, it hasn't been good this week.
Yeah, it has not been, and which is totally fine, right? What's cool is that you're able to recognize that, and hopefully you're not letting it fucking like smother your mind or anything. Like we've all been there, but it's just so long as you know that it'll pass, right? It always does, right?
That's definitely been like the reminder of like, you know what? This isn't new. I mean, like something I think I forget, like once I'm feeling good again, I tend to forget like this is consistent work. This is not gonna be one and done. You gotta keep going through it.
Yeah.
So like once I get into like a like slip into a depression again, I'm like, you know what? This is fine. This is okay. You can get through this.
Yeah.
Work through
and we tend to do that. We tend to do that a lot for some reason. It's so weird because usually when you're doing okay, right? Like you'll go on these waves where you're happy or whatever. And for some reason you tend to remember, like me personally, I also have like a panic disorder, but it's just like when I'm happy, for some reason, I tend to think about the depressing times where I'm like, oh shit, this might come again.
Really?
And blah, blah, right? Yeah. But then when I'm hella sad or when I'm going through like a depressive episode, I completely forget about the good times, right? Like I don't even remind myself of how I am when I'm happy. So it's almost like my mind is constantly in like a negative mindset, and if I'm not super negative, it's still in the back of my head like, oh shit, well just know that it's gonna come again, right?
Ooh, self-sabotaging.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. And honestly, I'm trying to learn. I see a therapist now. I've actually been seeing a therapist since the beginning of the year.
That's cool.
I love it. I definitely want to touch base on it a little later, but I definitely recommend it if like people can afford it or if they have like a health insurance that can. A lot of people tend to think like, I don't want to tell a random person my business and blah, 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 this and that, whatever. Or I could just talk to my friend. But it's just like, dude, with a therapist is a licensed person who specializes in the moods or whatever chemical imbalances you have in your brain, right? So that
they know how to help you.
Exactly. And also it comes from a very unbiased position. You can vent all you want to your friends, to your family. And of course, they're going to want what's best for you. So they're going to be like, do this, do this, do this, not knowing that like, you know, it's fucking hard. Like it's hard to do that because you're going against naturally what you want to do sometimes.
Yeah.
But with a therapist, they overlook that and they're kind of just like, okay, well, let's look at this side of things and blah, blah. So, you know, I've been seeing one and she has helped me through so fucking much when I tell you, or
that's so good to hear.
Yeah, she's helped me let myself help myself, if that makes sense. I don't know.
That makes total sense. I get what you're saying exactly.
Yeah, because technically they can't really be like, oh, do this, but they kind of open up my brain like, well, have you ever considered how would you feel if, you know, just things like that. So yeah, my brain's a little more open, I feel like, and it's good. I like it.
See, I'm like the total opposite. I'm like, I would almost feel more comfortable telling a stranger because then it's like, you're not going to judge me and you're not going to think anything if I tell you this. I've definitely thought about it, but of course I'm like one of those people who's like, can I afford that? And can I do this? And da-da-da. So like, I haven't looked into insurance and stuff. I should know. I'll look into it.
And honestly, like where we are, like just society, they make it really difficult for people. I feel like just mental health or mental illnesses isn't important for
It's
some
yeah, it's
reason in
not
the US.
prioritized at all.
And it should be. But I feel like where we are right now, we're hella, I think we are talking about this last time, we're hella in a place, I feel like collectively, where people are starting to realize how important it is for your mental health to
Yes.
be on like, a good level.
Because everyone's
Um,
trapped alone with their thoughts, like, oh, fuck.
yeah, exactly. And I love that for us right now. I don't know if it's honestly, I could be wrong and it's not everyone doing that, but I think the wavelength that I'm on right now, I am seeing everyone around me. So maybe I'm where I need to be
Ooh, that's a
personally.
good point.
You know
Because,
how like you
like,
attract.
yeah, I truly believe that you attract the energy you put out. So it's like when you're trying to do good stuff for yourself, you attract more people trying to do good stuff for themselves.
Exactly.
Or like, when we were just like negative and down about everything, we're around people who are negative
I
and down
know. Oh
about everything.
God. That's so funny. I was
Yeah.
just thinking about that the other day because right now I'm actually really happy right now, like where I
That's
am.
so good to hear.
Yeah, I'm not even content. I am like beyond content. Just to like in many aspects of my life right now, like work, my dating life. And it's so funny because the last time we
Yes.
spoke, I was like, I don't even know if I want to date anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
you're like,
no,
no, no
I was
dating.
hitting a
No.
plateau. Okay, it was pretty bad, but
Hey, ebbs and flows. We all
yeah,
gotta ride the
it's
wave.
it's just it's crazy. Like, and I don't want to have to bring manifestation into this, like I always do. But big on manifestation. I know that you are too, or
Mm-hmm.
people are heading towards that way a little bit more. But if I'm being honest, I used to preach it a lot, right? Like I used to preach
Yeah.
manifestation like crazy, but sometimes I don't practice what I preach,
Oh,
right?
of course. Yeah, we're all guilty
Um,
of that
yeah, so
for
I'm over here
sure.
telling people, yeah, just manifest, manifest, nah, nah, nah. Think about it, envision yourself. But I was not doing that. I wasn't doing
Yeah.
that. I don't know why I wasn't doing it, but maybe that little plateau I reached was because of that. I was over here just like not practicing what I was telling everybody to do. But
Yeah.
I think I hit a point since the last time we spoke when I was kind of like, I don't even know if this is the right path for me and blah, 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 this and that, where I was like, okay, you know what? Like, let's really talk this shit. Like, let's talk this shit into fucking existence. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like, I would tell my family all the time, like, I'm gonna have this job in this field, and this is the type of like this is where I want to be salary wise. I don't want to be physically there, like it's gonna be remote. I was very, very specific in what I wanted, right?
Love
And I
that.
spoke that shit. It was so uncomfortable sometimes, but I was like, Mom, you know what? No, it's cool. Like by next year, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna be this, da 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 da, whatever. I was also talking about, so last time we spoke, something happened with this guy that I was kind of like talking to, whatever. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
work out, right?
Yeah, I
After
remember.
that, I was like, okay, take a little break, right? Kind of sick of it, whatever. But I was like, okay, you know what? This is the next person. The next person I get is gonna treat me like this. This is a boundary he or she
Mm.
is gonna respect. And like, I didn't really focus on anything else other than how I was gonna be treated and boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And now, oh God, I hope he doesn't listen to this. Like now, I'm like, do I want
That's
to get
so
him
funny.
big headed? Right now, I'm dating somebody. It's been a little bit of a while. Um, and I am so fucking happy with how I am treated with this person. Like
That's
it's
so important.
it's crazy because I don't even think that he realizes that he's making me see things that I should do for myself.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
find you someone, don't even find you someone, just when someone comes along, make sure they either treat you like how you treat yourself or better,
Oh,
right?
definitely better because I feel like
Yeah.
most of us don't treat ourselves very well.
Yeah, that's where we're kind of like, that's where we got to get ourselves a little bit. That's
Yeah.
why, we're trying to get ourselves to a, like, just level with ourselves mentally.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, things have been going pretty good. And it's kind of hard talking about struggles when you are kind of like in a light.
When you're happy.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what's
weird.
so crazy though? So it was actually my last episode I put out. I was talking to two of my friends, but we were talking more of like a business aspect. But we were saying how, well, he was saying, my friend Sam was saying, like, oh, I want to see people's struggles and like the beginning stages of this and that. And I was saying how, like, well, people don't want to talk about their struggles until they're out of it. Like when you're in it, you don't want to sit there and be like, this is what I'm going through and this is how I feel. But once you get like over the hump and you feel better, then it's like, okay, this is what I had to go through to get here.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I guess like that's not always the case, because I could see how also being past that, you don't want to like look back and dwell on it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's very, some people can consider it like triggering, you know what I mean?
True.
I am one to be triggered off of so many things. I'm
Same.
working on it. But
Same.
it's just like, even right now I could be in a good place, but something small happens, like, I mean, I don't want to put myself out there, but just something reminds me of somebody that I don't really talk to or something anymore. And it kind of gets me in this like, oh shit, like, fuck, here I go. I'm like, is this when it's going to start going down? You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like really trying to focus on um, not triggering yourself, or even if you do trigger yourself. And this is something that I learned from my therapist, is just like, when you do get triggered off of something, it's like, try to think of like the physical aspects of what you're feeling, right? Because a
Mm.
lot of the time, oh god, I'm reading this book too, it's called The Body Keeps the Score. So it's like a lot of people who are anxious, or who panic really easily, they feel this way and they feel like they're going to have an anxiety attack, and they feel like really out of their body, is
Mm-hmm.
because your physical sensations are literally reacting off of what your mind's thinking, right? And
Mm.
it's super quick for your body to react off of that, but it takes a really long time for you to calm your body down compared to what your mind's
Yeah.
thinking.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was talking to someone, I was talking to my friend Alex. We were doing like a coaching session,
Yeah.
and that was something he brought up. He was like, he asked me, he's like, well, when you feel anxious or when you feel nervous, like, where do you feel it? And automatically, actually, no,
Yes.
he asked me that because he asked me a question. And when he asked me the question, I went like this. And like,
Oh,
I grabbed my chest, and he was like, where do you feel these things? Like when you talk, and I was like, yeah, immediately, like I feel this in my chest or I feel this in my stomach. And it that's something I've been so much more aware of like once I get anxious or like once I get nervous about something, and then kind of trying to like calm my body down takes so much longer than my mind. Like I'll
mhm.
be over it and I'll be like, okay, you know what? This isn't a big deal. You're good.
Yeah.
But then I'll be sitting there and it's like I could still feel like this like
Yeah.
pounding.
And it's really hard. It's because your body is in like fight or flight, right? So usually,
That makes sense.
right? So like, and that's what fucking sucks. It's so hard. It's almost like, if you're fucking chilling and a fucking bear comes up, right? Like immediately you're like, holy fucking shit. And then
Yeah.
if it goes away, your heart is like still in that thing. It's because your reaction to it was, I think it's either, well, you're either going to run or you're going to fight, right? Either one,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't like either of them. Both of them are kind of scary to me.
Yeah, you
Um,
always have to calm yourself down.
exactly.
Even like at a scary movie or a haunted house, afterward you're just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
and you're like catching your breath. It's so crazy.
Yeah. And a lot of people feel it like in their chest. And I learned that when you feel something in your chest, that's what usually triggers that anxiety, and that part of your body is like a worry. Right.
Mm. My
Um,
God, that means I worry a lot because
yeah.
I
Oh my God.
always
And it's not
I
even,
always feel it in my chest.
and it's not surprising. I know a lot of people, that happens to me all the time. And I feel like my heart is about to like literally rip out. I'm like, I can't even do anything about this. But like, um, I read it somewhere that it's like, it's literally impossible to feel anxious or to feel any of that when you're in a relaxed state, obviously.
Hmm.
And the only way you can do that is just with breathing.
Yeah,
Such a basic but a hard concept, right?
that's definitely something I've implemented, is like breathing through it. And if I like concentrate on my breathing, then I can kind of like calm everything down and stop it. And I feel like this is kind of random, but also kind of related. Just like how everything is like such a body reaction.
Yep.
I learned from my friend who is a yoga instructor that we carry trauma in our hips. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shit, that's crazy. I never knew that. And so, like, this past week, when I've been like feeling down and feeling depressed, I've been doing all these like hip opening exercises and like stretches, just trying to concentrate on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember when I went on my yoga retreat with her in Costa Rica, throughout the week of like talking about shit and working through a bunch of shit I was dealing with, I could physically feel my body be less tense when we would do our classes. Like I could get deeper into poses, and like I almost did like a full split, and I was like, well, my
Oh
mind is
shit.
blown.
Oh shit.
Like cuz at the beginning of the week I was like so stiff and like could
Yeah.
not move, not realizing everything I was like carrying and like letting it go. I was like, "Whoa, I can actually physically feel that. That's insane."
I love that. I love that for you. I was so jealous of that trip. I saw it on your story. I was like, oh my God,
Oh,
I
it
need to
was
be here.
life
I even
changing.
hit you up, right? I was like, what's up?
Yeah.
Let's go.
No,
No, but
yeah.
that's so true. Like we carry so much stress in our body, right? And like for
Mhm.
me, it's the jaw. Like I don't know if you notice it. Does your
I
jaw
do that
work like
too.
all the
Yes.
time? And my shoulders
Mhm.
are always up. Like I'm never like down, you know? So I realized that too. It does, you could definitely see your stress and how like poised or how like fucking tense you are. Um,
Yeah, I think my brother is the one who pointed it out to me one time because anytime like I would get annoyed or something, he would look at me and be like, "Oh, you're upset, huh?" Because he would see my jaw, and I would just be like,
that
like
jawline,
my
man.
jaw and my shoulders. He's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, it's serious.
Yeah.
Damn, I should probably start doing yoga again.
It. Oh my god. It honestly, I didn't. I'll admit, I was like a little judgy about it. I was like, all these fucking people over here, like being fake, like fake
Fucking
spirituality.
liars.
But yeah, once I got into it, I was like, oh shit, this really changes a lot and this really helps. And then my cousin too, she started doing it. Once I told her about it, she was like, she told me about this one class she had and she started like crying in the middle of it. She was like, I don't know what happened. Like, I just released all this stuff and all of a sudden I just was uncontrollably crying. I was like, wow, that's
I've
really
seen
good.
I've seen some of those online. I think I don't know if it was like a breathing thing. They
Probably
have
a
like
breathing
this,
one.
it's
I've
like
seen that.
alkaline breathing. I don't know. I'm just naming what I
Yeah.
think I know. But actually I tried it, like I YouTubed it and stuff, but it's like different ways of breathing and like you're holding your breath and you're blowing out your breath and you're holding
I've
that.
done those.
The
Yeah.
quick ones and you literally feel
You
a
feel
numbness.
high.
Yeah,
You
that's
feel
the
you
word.
legit
Yeah,
feel
like
high.
I was like, oh shit, I don't even know. Like, do I like this right now? But it was very, yeah, it puts you in a really relaxed state. I don't know. I don't know the science behind that. I wish I did. But yeah, that's why breathing is such a huge thing when it comes to when you're kind of freaking out or like going through
Mhm.
anxiety and stuff. But also like it's kind of it's a touchy subject because anxiety, I feel like, okay, so let me just put these together. So mental
Mhm.
illness and mental health is not the same thing, right?
Okay.
Um, I feel like everybody to some degree has, I mean, everybody has has mental health, but not everyone has a mental illness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. And like the difference between that is improving like your mental health and treating the mental illness. And it's just, so one, you can exercise, you can do self-care, you can meditate, you can do all that stuff, right? But then the other one is kind of like you have to treat that like the mental illness instead. So
Yeah.
with medication, you can treat that, or by seeing a therapist, you can see that. But what I notice is a lot of people seem to like mix the two together. So
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit until you made that distinction, I probably would have too.
yeah, and like a lot, and it's crazy. Like for instance, to just bring up like a story that is like perfect for this is I used to like talk to somebody and he was fully aware that like I have like mental illness issues, right? I have like
Mhm.
a little bit of an imbalance in my brain, and for some reason it was always just like the response I would get is like, hey, just calm down, like maybe you should exercise more, like blah blah blah. And like I would always kind of get not offended, but I would be like, I can. First of all, I don't want to. I fucking hate exercising first and foremost. But like I feel like that's just not the answer to it. I can exercise. That's not
Yeah.
going to change the type of shit that I'm thinking or like blah, blah, blah. Maybe it'll get me feeling a little bit looser and like,
Yeah.
a little bit happier, but that's not going to change what's going on. That's not going to change the reason why I have to take medications, right? Like, so,
Yeah.
um, I just feel like people really need to be a little bit more softer or like a little bit more understanding with
Yeah,
people who have
definitely.
a mental illness compared to mental health. I am an
For sure.
advocate for mental health, right? Like
Same.
I feel like we both are. Um, but now it's kind of just understanding that there's a huge fucking difference. Like,
Yeah. And I was about to say, like, maybe that's why I kind of lumped the two together also. Like, having a mental illness and then also focusing on mental health. I think I put those two together,
Yeah.
but it's like I can also very much recognize like, oh, you don't understand what I mean when I say depression. And like,
Yeah.
you don't understand what I mean when I was laying in bed for 20 hours a day and had like no will to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, yeah, I'm glad you've never had to go through that and you've never had to feel what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't sit here and tell me, like, oh, get over it and do something
Yeah.
because it's not like I didn't try and
Exactly.
that wasn't all that could be done.
Yeah.
And I
Totally. And
mean,
like,
yeah,
if
there's
I could fucking change this, trust.
yeah,
Like, I would.
exactly. Yeah. If I could switch this shit off, I would
Yeah.
have, trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a fine line. And I was actually watching the show. Have you ever seen Love, Victor?
I feel like I have.
So it's a Hulu show.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, either way, there's this character, one of the kids, like the main characters, his mother suffered through like a horrible depression to the point where like she let their whole apartment just get filled with shit and she was like always like, you know, couldn't get herself off the couch. And he like she got better, she got treatment and she got out of it and she started dating. And he was like very careful of his mom dating because he was like, he doesn't want something to trigger her and get her back into
Yeah.
that state. And so when she met, or when he met his mom's boyfriend, he was like, oh, so has she, like, he came at him like very stern, like, has she told you about her mental health issues and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, I mean, we've all struggled through some kind of depression at some point in our
Uh,
life, right? And
that,
immediately,
okay.
yeah, immediately the guy, and that was the whole point of the scene. The guy was like, oh, really? He's like, so have you laid in bed 24 hours a day and like not cleaned your apartment for 3 months at a time and blah, 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 and like went into it? He's like, is that just everything someone goes through? And I was like, that's exactly it. Like, yeah, of course, everyone gets down and everyone has their shit to deal with, but there's levels to this shit sometimes
Oh
that
yeah.
you just can't, you can't just talk your way through and you can't just like exercise that shit away. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now that I am kind of so far gone from that time, but also have done so much work, I am at a point now where when I feel it coming on, yeah, I could go like take a walk and like start to, you know, do preventative things from getting deep into it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have done that back then.
Yeah.
Like
For
it took
sure.
a
And
lot of shit.
also, yeah, it takes a lot of healing, man, and it takes a lot of understanding of being able to tell the difference of like kind of like what you were saying, right? It's just being sad is one thing, being depressed is another. Being
Yeah.
sad is kind of like, you know, something happened that created this sad reaction, right?
Hmm.
And depression, and I'm not speaking like I know it, I'm a pro at it, or like I'm a fucking like I help like I've studied this shit, but
Yeah.
like
But we
from
can speak on
living,
our experiences.
yeah, just based off of you know, the type of depression I have, I guess, is more of like nothing has to happen to me. Nothing,
Mm,
absolutely nothing has to happen to me. I could be happy as fuck one day, right? And then the next day it's kind of like fuck, all right, here we go. And then I'm gone for about like 3 weeks. I'm not talking to anybody, I'm not reaching out to
mm,
anybody. I'm just like, I feel like a piece of shit soaking out. I'm questioning the existence, you know, I'm questioning why
yeah.
I was even here, you know, just all of these things. And it's not something that I can easily just be like, okay, you know what, I feel I could go for a walk and I'll feel better. Although you're right, when you go for a walk, it does get you in a brighter mood.
Hmm.
Like I said though, that kind of that leans towards the mental health of it, right?
Oh,
Like,
for
you
sure.
know, it's good for your mental health to do that,
Yeah.
so why not? But the actual not being able to change this, the depressed episode has a lot to do with the mental illness.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
then
being
also
able
being
to,
that everyone has different levels to it, you know?
yeah,
Cuz like I mean like I'm not on medication for it or anything, but so like I, you know, differently I could feel myself slipping into that and take steps to prevent it.
yeah,
And I mean, but that's not everyone's case, you know? It's so different for everybody. And I mean, like for me, it does take a little bit of a trigger, but it can be a small trigger, and I'll be like, oh my God. And I just go fucking
you're out.
spiraling
Yep.
down all these things of like, oh, well, this happened when I was a child, and then this, and then blah, and it's like, oh, and then this person did this, and it's like, this is why I'm blah, blah, blah. And I like, sometimes I just get so lost in my own mind. And Yeah, I'll like lock myself away. I won't like talk to anyone. I'll like throw my phone in another room. I'm like, I don't want to see the world.
Yeah.
Close the blinds, lay in bed, and like whatever.
Yeah. And
Mm,
there's so many different, I mean, that's like that's the depressed. I mean, usually people think about that, right? When you think of like somebody who's depressed and like
yeah,
they kind of shut everybody else out. There's a lot more to like there's like the being bipolar. I mean, bipolarness is like a completely different thing obviously than depression, but that
totally.
can have a huge effect too on how like when you're in a depressed mood, it's kind of like you're fucking like I said, hella happy one day, hella not the next, right?
Yeah.
But it's weird because like I'm glad we're talking about this because as of lately I've been very sorry, I'm putting a mixed drink. Um,
You're good.
I've been very focused on trauma as of late,
Mm,
right? Me and my sister. And like actually just a lot of friends. Because I feel like um a lot of mental illnesses can root from traumas in
yeah.
your
Oh,
life,
for sure.
right?
What I'm starting to realize too. Yeah.
And it's crazy because we don't really we think we're past that. We think we're past these horrible things that has happened in the past, but really it has literally stuck with us this whole time, and it has created this life of anxiety and fucking depression and like all that horrible shit. And it's just like I feel like right now what I want to try doing is uncovering the trauma for myself.
Yeah, me too. I
That's
actually
hard.
saw you brought up your sister. I saw her like shadow work journal. And I was like, "Oh, I need to get one because
Man, it's a beautiful, it's a journal. Hot
love
girl
that."
journal, okay, first of all. No, but second, yeah, it's very so like I said, me and my sister are very we're trying to touch base into like traumatic experiences that might have led us to where we are today. And what's cool in my sister's things is she deals with a lot of mental health things. I don't want to say mental
Mhm.
illness because I feel like that's more of a specialized
Yeah,
thing for
that's
doctors
like
and stuff.
therapists and things. Yeah.
Yeah. But she is very big on mental health with kind of like a tarot slash horoscope twist to it, you know. And I love me my tarot cards. I love me my readings from like the beyond, you know. But yes, I did get this journal. It's from Trinity Wellness. Sorry, I'm over here trying to fucking promote
No,
this.
promote, girl, do
I
it.
will always go release. It's literally just a journal, and I feel like one good way of really tapping into your traumas and really trying to dig deep in what you're feeling like these days and why do you react and why do things happen to you and all this stuff
Mhm.
is by literally documenting that shit. Document that shit.
Ooh, yeah,
Because
for sure.
like yeah, I could be so good today and then like it's so funny because I actually read an old journal and it's just like last year I was going through some shit, man. And it's just so funny to see the waves,
It
right? To
is. It
see how we're
is.
doing so horrible and then like look at like right now I'm cool. For you, maybe it's not like I know that you were talking about, you know, this week was a little difficult, but you don't know what it's going to be next week, you know? And
Yeah.
it's so fun being able to see what you wrote down because it's just like, damn, I did go through that and I got through it, you know?
Actually, you remember Stacy, my friend Stacy?
Yes, I do.
So Stacy gave me a journal like last year.
Mhm.
And like the way it's formatted, you're only supposed to write like one or because it's small spaces and you write one or two lines per day. But the way the pages are, it's meant to fill 5 years. So like if I go to the page for today, I can
Mhm.
see what I wrote today last year. And so this is my second year on it. So, like, going through the journal now that I've had it for a year and seeing what I wrote like on this day last year is so crazy. And I'm just sitting here like, oh, that feels like a lifetime ago, or like this shit feels
Yeah.
so far away. And I'm like, damn, yeah, it's crazy to see like the waves of shit.
Trauma.
Okay, but yes, trauma. But also, one thing I'm curious about is the first time we spoke and I asked you what you were most passionate about, you said you didn't even know.
Yeah.
So
Oh, God.
now, a year later, has that changed? Is there something you think you're like sticks out in your mind
You
if you hear
know,
that?
it's yeah, kind of. So where I am right now with work, I realized that I am very, very passionate about events. I know this is super random or whatever. This has
Ooh.
nothing to do with mental health.
I mean,
Um,
doesn't yeah, whatever it is, it is, you
it's
know?
just it's funny because when I first got into the workforce, like when I was like 17 or 16, 17, I always wanted to be a part of events. I don't know, I didn't give a
Oh,
fuck
that's
what it
cool.
was. Yeah, I don't know, I didn't care if it was wedding planning. I mean, that's like the first thing you think about for some reason when you think of event planner. But I know that I didn't want to be an event planner. I just know that I
Yeah.
wanted to be in the field of events, right? And I wasn't too sure how or like what position or anything like that. That's all I knew. I had zero experience back then, so I never got it.
Yeah.
But I started seeing a pattern in like every single job that I had. I always had to work with something to do with events, whether it's small events or planning like far events or like big fucking events, things like that. I noticed that I was getting those a lot, so I was like, okay, so clearly I really do have a nick for this shit, right?
Yeah.
So right now I work with an events agency. It's a remote job. Oh my God, I fucking love
Ooh.
it so much. I've only been with them for a couple months. But what I wanted to do was travel for work. I knew that I wanted to be in a chaotic environment. I know that sounds horrible, but I feel like
Some people thrive in
yeah,
chaos.
I fucking thrive in chaos, dude. I'm like, oh my God, the fucking world is burning. Like, what the fuck do we do? But I'm
Mhm.
over here like fucking killing
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
The pressure just makes you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, and also just the way I guess like since I have such big anxiety, I'm gonna need something to like keep my
Mm,
fucking like beat at par with my fast beating
true.
heart.
If you're just go, 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 you don't have time to sit and worry.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
so if I were to answer that question, I feel like my passion lays work-wise lays a lot more in events and like just being able to do it's weird connecting it like this, but my passion is to also be able to do things the way that I want without being so controlled, right? I don't want
Mm.
to be in a controlled environment. I don't like, yeah, I'll have managers, but I don't want people managing me. I want somebody leading me, right?
Yeah. Oh, I
Um,
love that.
yeah, and it's
Love
really
that.
cool because I'm also in a leading role now too. So I always wanted to feel that also. I wanted to be able to lead people without being so like in charge. I don't know, like
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm telling people what to do because I fucking hate being told what to do first and foremost.
Yeah.
But where I am right now is like I'm leading a team in the events field in different areas in the US, sometimes outside of the US. Um,
Oh, that's
I'm really
cool.
excited for that. Yeah, I might be going to Italy next year. We'll see.
Oh shit.
So big, passionate wise, that's where I lay right now for work.
Hmm.
But other than that, if it wasn't about work, I'm definitely, definitely passionate about better like self development.
I could see that for sure. And I also feel like, yeah, it can definitely be more than one thing and like in more than one way. Yeah, like that's cool. You have one for your job. And then obviously, like mental health is such a huge one. But then also just like the way you live, like
Yeah,
that shows because it's like you want to have control over your life and the things you're doing. And
yeah,
I feel like hearing that said out loud too, I feel like so many of us do relinquish control over our own lives and just like let so many other things dictate how we live.
yeah.
And it's
I
kind of
hate it.
sad.
I hate it. I hate it here.
Yeah.
You're right. And like,
Yeah.
this is gonna sound weird, but like, I am super fucking passionate about myself. Like,
No, that doesn't sound weird. I like that. I like that
it's
a lot.
crazy. I don't know if it's the life that I want to live or like the life that I see myself leading to, you know what I mean? But I'm really
Yeah.
passionate about the happiness that I feel. I want to feel passionate about life in general.
Hmm.
And in order for me to do that,
Ooh, I like
yeah,
that.
like fuck choosing one thing. I just want to be passionate, period. Like, oh my God, I sound like a fucking
Yes.
hippie.
No, I love it. I'm a fucking hippie too. So.
Hey, but like,
No, I love that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's really just like I want to see the good in everything. And like it's hard. Okay, I kind of take that back a little bit because what it was before was I would always try to see the good in people. I would always try to see the good in things, situations, blah blah. Um, moving past that, it's not trying to see the good in people anymore. It's trying to see the truth in people and how they are, right?
Ooh.
So, um, I think that was kind of what,
Interesting.
yeah, like, and I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to see the good in people, but can you see how that kind of puts you at a disadvantage? Because
Yeah.
I would always try to see the good in people. And I would desperately try to see the good in people who were literally breaking me.
Yeah.
So, as much as I want to see the good, you have to really train yourself to see the truth in people's actions and the truth in the love that they show you.
That's true because like I mean, when you put it that way, I can think of certain situations where like I wanted to see the good in people, so I think to the point I made excuses.
Yeah,
And it's like, "Oh, well he's just acting that way because of this." And oh,
exactly.
blah blah blah. When I really just wasn't letting myself see the truth. It's like, "No, they're showing you who they are.
Exactly.
You just want to believe better."
Mm-hmm. And it's like you definitely, when you start seeing the good, the connection between that and how you shouldn't be doing it is you start romanticizing things. You start
Yes.
romanticizing relationships, friendships, what you want. And then it's almost like
Mhm.
a fucking blanket that is just like you literally don't see this
Yeah.
person for who they are and you want to see them for who you want them to be or how you want to be treated, anything like that.
100%.
And that's what's crazy is like, men and women who go through this, like it's that whole romanticizing thing. It's just like, it's, you're so, it's like you just want something to be done your way so bad that you're willing to do anything.
Mm.
You're willing to do anything and you're willing to accept anything. And then this just kind of takes us to a point where it's just like, dude, you're losing sight of what you're worth, you know?
Ooh, yeah.
And self-worth, girl, is a
Yep,
fucking big
yep.
thing these days. um I don't know, and it's just when you, I feel like it's just when you try seeing the good in people, you start, it's like love at that point is held back, or love is used as a reward
Mm.
for you. So you could go through all this shit and it's that little ounce of love or that little ounce of
Yeah.
respect is like, oh shit, I need more. Like I need, it's addictive, right? And then you fall into this cycle. And then eventually you really start questioning your, if you're even worthy of like love, because you don't even know what the fuck love really is, right?
You have a warped sense now
Yeah,
of what love is. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that changes. I'm not trying to like specify this towards relationships only. This has a
Oh, no. Yeah. That can be
relationship.
family or friends or
Yep.
whatever.
And
Hmm.
family. And like, yeah, that's a whole nother beast within itself, is like the
Oh,
type of
for
love from
sure.
family. We all be
Yeah.
going through like a lot with our family, right? But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I just feel like people need to be fully more aware of like knowing your self-worth and at least just knowing what you're capable of receiving from somebody. That makes
Mm.
sense, right?
Ooh, yeah.
You have to be, you got to give yourself some fucking credit, man, because a lot of the times we don't do that like for ourselves ever.
Definitely not.
Yeah, we got to change that.
I know. Yeah. A lot of us do.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like, is this something you've kind of started changing recently, or has this been like a long time coming kind of thing for
Man,
you?
this has been a long battle for me. I honestly feel like if anything, I'm starting to, this is going to sound crazy, I'm starting to really live for myself as of recently. I'd probably say within the last year or so. Before that, I was battling a lot of demons, man, like a lot of
Mm.
inner demons. And I had my times where I was really happy, and then I had my times where I was just like, dude, I'm never gonna get out of this. Like I'm
Yeah.
never gonna get out of this. This has nothing to do with who I dated in the past. This has nothing to do with like me not wanting to physically be here anymore. This is just a feeling that's never gonna leave for some reason. And like it's
Yeah.
so
I've
much.
been in that.
Yeah, and it's like, and I don't wish that on my fucking worst enemy, man. I don't
Oh,
really
for
have
sure.
enemies. We don't
Yeah.
hate people out here no more, right? We don't give
I don't have
people that
enemies no more.
energy.
I wish everyone the best now.
Yeah, like you know what? You do you, man. I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck. But it's just like, to answer your question, no, absolutely not. It has not been something that I've been doing for a long time. It's actually fairly recent, and a lot of it has to do with trying to be mindful in what I deserve during this moment, right? So
Mm.
a lot of people tend to worry about the past or they worry about the future. And mindfulness is obviously when you are focused on things that are currently happening presently.
Yes.
And you know, if I were to explain that, I would have to compare it to like the person I'm talking to, right? Like immediately setting boundaries was kind of difficult. I feel like it's difficult
Mm,
for people, you know what I mean? Because you're
of
like,
course.
what if they don't want to talk to me anymore? And
Yeah.
whatever. But
Oh
it's
my
just
God. That's such a hard thing to pass through of
right.
like, what if someone doesn't want to deal with what I want? It's like, okay, well then don't deal with them.
Exactly. But isn't that crazy how literally we are just like, okay, well, I'll be willing to
Compromise
not, yeah,
ourselves.
right. So it's just like
Yes.
really trusting yourself and knowing that like regardless of what you choose, as long as you're choosing what is best for you right then and right there, you'll be fine. Even up until now, I'm still like that. Like just the other
Yeah.
day, just the other day, I was just like, do you even like me anymore? Because
I'm that same fucking way. I need like constant
yes,
confirmation. Like,
that's
you
a
gotta
love
tell me.
language. Like literally reassurance and validation.
Reassurance. There you go. Yeah.
I need
Validation.
to hear that shit. I
Yes.
was deprived of that previously before this person, right? Like literally
Mm,
deprived. And like I was never given that. And it's just like I questioned him and he was like, what the hell? Like, what makes you think that? Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's so funny to see that, like, I'm over here worried about the future or like if this won't work out. And like, you know what I mean? Just things that has happened in my past, baggage that I'm literally
Mm,
bringing into this fucking relationship that this
yep.
guy has to deal with just because I
Yeah.
let it go. Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? How dare me, first of all? And like, second, he is very reassuring. And like, he knows that from me. Like, he
Ooh,
understands
see,
that.
if someone understands that and isn't annoyed by it, it's like, huh.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, like someone who tries to make you feel stupid for like communicating what you need,
Exactly.
but then
Yes.
also feeling like they're making you jump through hoops for shit that's like so
Mm-hmm.
simple. It's like just understand me
Fair.
and just understand what I want.
Yeah.
It's funny too that just like I don't know, this isn't quite the same, but that reminded me of something that happened recently.
Mm.
And it's funny because I know you're going to understand, especially what I'm talking about. Because you know how, like, the way we talk, especially to guys, is like, we kind of like talk like dudes and shit. And like,
Mm.
we talk a lot of shit. And like,
Oh
you
my
know,
God. Yeah.
like, that's like our sense of humor. And that's just how we are. And so I was like seeing this guy for a minute and like constantly just like I didn't even realize it until he pointed it out that I'm like only talking shit to him and I'm like
Roasted
only
him.
putting him down. Yeah, I'm like fucking roasting him all the time. And one day he's finally like, "Can you just for once like play along or just fucking like tell me something reassuring?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"What do you mean?" And he's like, "I'm always fucking like hyping you up and shit and you're just like always putting me down." I was like, "Fuck,
Oh,
you're right."
yeah.
And like I didn't question it. On one hand, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make you understand, yes, this is how I am.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's like, okay, I understand nobody wants to be fucking put down and talk
Yeah.
shit to 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's like, thank you for making me aware of
Yeah.
this and now I can change it. And
Dude,
like that's as simple as it is. Like don't make me fucking jump through hoops and like
exactly.
make me feel stupid. You know? So it's like immediately when you said that I was like, say no more. I
And
understand. Yes,
yeah,
like
dude,
I
I'm
get
glad
it.
he was even able to mention that because, like, first of all,
Same.
you weren't aware of it, right? Because you don't see it as offensive because that's just like
Cause this
that's
is who,
how we
yeah, that's
are.
how I
But
am.
also, what I loved about what you told me is like, you know, we live in a world where people are just like, they want you to conform to them. So, like, they're very much like, all right, well, that's just how I am. Like, if you want to be my friend, you got to deal with it. Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to
Hmm.
lie. I used to be like that too. I was like, you
Oh,
know what? I
same.
am how I am. You either take it or leave it. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But
and I feel like it is that way to an extent
yeah. Well,
because, like, I'm
yeah,
not gonna, yeah, because I'm not gonna change who I am and
exactly.
how I
Of
speak,
course.
but at the same time, now at least I can acknowledge how you feel
Yes.
and I can understand and I can change a little bit of, I can change my behavior.
Yeah. And also if you could see it, see it's just that understanding portion of it, right? Like if you can
That's like the
understand,
biggest
yeah,
thing.
it's putting yourself in their shoes almost like, okay, well, what if I didn't like something, like would I want them to understand that I don't like it and what I want them to
Yes,
change, you know? So that's
just a
why
little bit of empathy for what
exactly.
someone else is feeling.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
See, and that's like, see, that's a part of the whole fucking healing growth shit, right? Is noticing
Yeah.
that like you used to be like, but now you understand it's time. It's time, you know, like
It's
we
time to change a little.
yeah, and like it's understandable. And I think it's very
Yeah.
brave to be able to change something about yourself for the better deed of somebody else's emotions or feelings, you know?
Yeah. And like something I was thinking about today, I don't even know why I was thinking about it, but I feel like a lot of us sometimes, well, I know, let me just speak for myself, is like pride gets in the way,
Oh yeah.
and how I've definitely lost friendships and relationships over pride where I'm like, okay, well, if you don't like this, or
Yep.
if I did something whatever, fuck you, then I don't
Yeah.
need you.
Yeah.
And now, like, now from my standpoint, because there was like something I went through with someone and I had to think like, okay, hold on. I took something in a bad way. Like I kind of got offended by something someone did, but is this worth losing a relationship
Mm-hmm.
over? Like, do
The
I want to,
importance of the
yes,
relationship.
do I want to lose this friendship because I'm mad about something?
Mhm.
Or do I want to let it go and let it slide? And that's where I can see, like, oh shit, I would not have done this a few years
Look
ago.
at you, girl. Girl. I love it. That's
Hmm.
true. I love that we're at that stage right now in life, right? Where we
Yes.
can like just be like, and also there's nothing wrong. Like there's nothing wrong with wanting to change it up too. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like I
definitely.
just
Yeah.
feel like it's like such a good thing. Like, dude, do you realize that we can literally just switch our whole lives like tomorrow if we wanted to?
Hmm. For
I
the
could do
better or
this
for the
person
worse, it's
tomorrow.
all up to you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the fact that we are proactively looking to like better ourselves for the sake of
Hmm.
like our relationships and people that matter to us is like such a
Yeah.
big thing to me. I love
Hmm.
that. And I want that. Like I want that for people around me too. I want
I do
them
too.
to fucking excel because they like having me in their life, right? Like I
Yes.
love I love when people love me. You know what I mean? Like I don't need
Yeah.
it. I don't need it because like to a certain point, I was just talking about this with someone else too, where it's just like they were like, would you rather love for the rest of your life or be loved? I forget what the question was, but the answer to it was like, dude, I don't need to be loved by anyone so long as I love myself. All I need is really just
Mm.
like the respect from people because being disrespected is a whole nother thing, right? Like we don't
Yeah.
tolerate that shit no more, whatever. But it's just like I love being loved and I know if somebody loves me, it's because they're choosing to and because they
Mm.
enjoy having me in their life, regardless of my ups, my downs, my faults, my whatever. Right. And then when you
Yeah.
start noticing that, you start noticing that your groups get a little smaller
Hmm.
because you're setting boundaries and you're not
Yeah.
doing certain things for certain people and you're not acting certain ways just to be liked anymore for that validation.
Hmm.
You are literally being yourself. And like, that's why this year has been crazy for me because I have been trying my hardest to just be myself. And it's hard. It's hard because
Yeah.
sometimes you don't really even know who you are. Like, I don't fucking know who I am, like half the time. But I do know that, like, I don't like this in my life. And I do know that I don't like being
Yeah.
treated this way or like talk to you like this, you know? So the more you like set boundaries for yourself, dude, like you start realizing those 3 or 4 or 5, whatever people in your lives, like they're there for a fucking reason. Like
Oh, for sure.
my
Yeah.
soulmates, you know?
So the job, the guy, this whole new like I feel like outlook.
Yeah.
Like I can see it for sure too, like the change. Is there other things? Is that kind of
I mean,
touching on
I think
everything?
just like this newfound love for myself has been, girl, when I
Mm.
fucking tell you, like the
So
last
good.
word has
So
been
good.
crazy. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, even my Instagram. Okay, girl, I fucking grew out my armpit hair.
I did not see that, but
Dude, if you go on my Instagram, I fucking grew out. So this is like that next level, like self-love, really trying to not care about what others think shit that I forced myself into. I literally forced myself into it because there was a point where I was like, I think I was in Hawaii during the time, but like I was too lazy to fucking shave my armpits, bro. Like I was just
mm,
hella lazy and I was like, why should I be so embarrassed to lift my arms because there's a cute guy around, blah, 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 whatever. And then it was really just I tend to overthink. So like I was thinking
same.
like I got deep in this shit. I was like, okay, well, what if it's like maybe I don't like showing it to someone who's cute because I could see myself with them, but probably they won't like it and they're gonna be disgusted by it
Mm,
and blah blah. And
yeah.
then I was really like, okay, well, I would want someone in my life like who accepts that, like who wouldn't be like,
Yeah.
ew, fucking gross. Like, no, I want someone who's gonna be like, you want to fucking do that shit? Go ahead. So I literally put myself through this really awkward phase of like just yeah, I loved it though. I really loved it. I think it was really cute. I dyed my armpit hair, all this good shit. But
Oh, I did see that. Okay, now that you
yeah, I
mention it,
started
yes, I
pink,
did see
red,
that.
yellow, like orange.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was a fun time. But like I started realizing it was a lot more to maintain it that way than to just fucking wax it. So I'm like, fuck it,
Yeah,
I'm
because
gonna
that
just wax
shit grows
it.
fast.
Yeah, hella fast. I had to keep bleaching. I was like, I can't do this. But it all started with that, right? Like it all started with like, and then being accepting of like my chubbiness, right? Like I'm not the fucking thinnest girl compared to like today's beauty standards, which is literally
Mm.
not possible. It's an impossible beauty standard to
Oh
be
yeah.
fucking like thick, beautifully thick and slim thick, I guess if you say. But so it was just like accepting my body for what it is, and then like actually starting to like my body the way it is,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and being comfortable with who I'm dating now to be able to show all of it without like
Mm.
sucking in my stomach or like being like, oh my
Yeah,
god,
that's always a big thing.
yeah, like
Yep.
I don't want to cuddle because then his hands on my stomach, like you know what I mean, like fuck that
Yes. Oh
shit.
my god.
You like my
Yeah.
stomach or you don't like my stomach. It's like so simple. Like I like my stomach,
Hmm.
so. But yeah, as far as work and like the dating life, it's just like that newfound love for myself. That's it.
Honestly, that's the most important thing. But like, I love this is like such a huge fucking change, and it's like not that it was a bad place or anything from the
Yeah,
last time we talked, but like, damn, just seeing like how much has really changed is so crazy. I'm like just like so happy to hear everything too.
yeah,
But like, I also just love seeing like how aware of it you are. Like how aware of how you used to think and then how you're thinking now. But then, yeah, also just like recognizing it's not a bad
yeah.
thing to have like been where you were and to like be thinking the way you were, because we all fucking like we all gotta go through that shit. We all gotta. I feel like for some reason, ride the wave is like a
Yeah, no,
of
absolutely.
yeah, it's true, but it's like a saying that like I've been using so much lately.
Ride the wave.
Is we all just gotta ride the waves
Yeah,
of, because it's never gonna be consistent. Like you're never gonna always be happy, and you're never gonna always be sad.
absolutely.
I think that's one thing like I've been trying to work on a lot is detachment.
Yeah.
Is like
Ooh, that's a hard one.
it is, because it's
Especially,
like
yeah,
being in the moment, no matter what it is, whether it's happy or sad, it's not gonna last. So
exactly.
like enjoy it for what it is and don't hold on to it so
Oh my
much.
God, I love that. I love how you use that, right? Because you're right. Like we tend to get attached, especially when we're happy. Like, and I think that's where it
Mm-hmm.
is. I think that's why it's great that you even mentioned that, like the whole detachment thing, because when you're happy, do not become too attached to that feeling because you're
Yeah.
like you said, it's gonna keep changing, right? But when you're sad, do not become attached to that shit neither. Like, don't dwell on it too long. Like, feel what you're feeling. Absolutely feel what you're feeling. If anything, I think
Yeah.
it's best that you force yourself to fucking feel that shit, even though it's like so uncomfortable and
I've been
like
doing that.
so horrible. I hate it, but it's
Yeah.
like just know that'll pass. Like right now, I'm in a weird. Like right now, I miss someone, right? And I was trying to explain I don't know how to fucking deal with this emotion, right? Which is
Yeah.
like missing someone, right? Because I've
Yeah.
missed people before, but like this is a different type of miss. And what happens is when I miss someone, it's a sadness, I guess.
Are you a hyper independent kind of person?
Oh no, absolutely not, girl.
Oh,
I
okay.
was
Never mind.
so
Never mind.
codependent. Like
Okay. Never mind.
maybe now these days, like I feel like I can definitely deal with being independent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as codependent as I used to be. Like, dude, previously I was an attached ass bitch. Like, I'm just always wanting to be with somebody. Um, if I am with somebody, I want to be with them all the time, like
Yeah.
physically sometimes ish. And I just always want to be talking, blah, blah. These days, absolutely not. Absolutely
Mm.
not. I'm just like, okay, I don't need to, I'm all right in my
You
own.
know how to be comfortable on your own.
Yeah, even though sometimes
Yeah.
a lot of the time still I'm kind of like, oh God, I hate being alone right now. But it's just
Yeah.
I'm working through that right now, actually. Well, it's crazy.
But this isn't that kind of miss. This is a different kind of emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only ask because like I am hyper independent. recently I've had it pointed out to me that I'm like hyper
I
independent to
can
a
see that.
fault
That's not a
sometimes.
bad thing.
Well, no, like to the point where like I push people away because I'm like, you
Um,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like for me, if I miss someone, I'm like, oh fuck, what's happening? What is this? You know,
Yeah,
I'm like I don't need anybody. What am I doing?
yeah,
So that's why I asked. But for you, it's different. It's like it's just a different kind of emotion this
yeah,
time, like
yeah.
missing
It's
someone.
really weird. It's like I miss someone in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's good. I
that's
like
it's
that.
yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird that I even think about that right now because like back then when I used to miss anyone, it was like in a very sad, like
Like I
they're not
need
in
you
my
kind of
life
way.
anymore. Yeah, like they're not
Oh,
in my
okay.
life because like things were so bad and it's just like I was questioning
Mm.
like is it my fault? Is it their fault?
Oh,
And I was going
yeah.
through those type of feelings like anger, blah blah, and it's just like that type of miss. But what's good with anger and missing somebody is like what with anger or the madness is you feel like you have a reason, right? You have a reason to
Mm.
feel this
Okay.
anger. You could blame something.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm in a very healthy. I miss this, and I don't like it because it's just like
Like
I
that.
can't do shit about it. Like it really makes me so mad.
Because there's no blame. It's
Yeah,
just like,
and
huh.
exactly, I'm literally just missing, and it's just like I have not really felt this for like years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I started noticing that like my unhealthy coping mechanisms
Mm.
like
Ooh,
coming up like from
unhealthy
under.
coping mechanism.
Oh yeah, man, it's dangerous because like I noticed that when I do miss, I started bringing that anger portion of it. Right, I was like, okay, I'm gonna find something
Mm.
to be mad about right now,
Yeah.
and that was not good. But I was fully aware that I shouldn't have acted like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it's understanding, like I said, the traumas, right? I act like that a certain way because I have been through something that was life altering before, and this is how I react to it. So now I'm gonna react to it
Yeah.
now like that. But we're breaking that shit these days, you know?
Oh my God. Yeah. Especially like once you can recognize, oh, this is why I react this way. It's like, well, I don't have to anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can heal from that. I can react a different way. I can change the pattern. I can break the pattern.
Hmm.
Ugh, and that's such a good feeling.
It's good and it's so hard. I think it's so rewarding and it feels so good because we know how hard it is to break patterns like that. You know,
Hmm.
like it's so difficult and I can't even stress how hard it is to break a pattern that you've been living almost your whole life depending on when your trauma started, whatever. But it's just like I think as of right now, like where I am is literally all of my traumas is coming up to me right now and I'm trying to figure out how to manage my reactions to them, right? That
Yeah,
shit's fucking hard, man. It
it
feels good though
is.
when you can.
Once you put in that work, it's
Yeah,
rewarding.
yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, thank you to my therapist because that bitch like did it for me. Like you don't
That's
even
so good.
like. Let me tell you just really quickly. This one fucking thing was just like I said, I was codependent, right? And I brought it up to her. It took me 6 months, girl, or it took me up till now. This is 6 months, right? Yeah, 6 months to open up about my traumas. And when I say
Yeah,
trauma,
because
I'm
that's
talking about
hard.
yeah. And it took her six months. And it's so funny to think about because like I thought I was really opening up until I really opened up, and she was like, "Holy fucking shit! I'm so codependent. And I don't know why I always have to see myself with somebody." Blah blah. And after I told her everything, she was like, well, this is so blatant to me. Like, it's literally flashing in lights. The reason why you're like this is because of all these traumatic, there was probably about 4 or 5 really, really traumatic, life changing experiences that I have
Mm.
gone through in my life, which is actually a lot. But she was like, of all of those things, you were alone when it happened.
Oh,
Yeah. And
yeah.
girl, I'm about to cry. No, but like when she fucking told me that shit, I didn't even realize that, right? Like when, I don't really want to say what happened, but like it's just I
Yeah,
was
of
always
course.
caught by myself. I was caught
Yeah.
slipping basically, right?
But
And
when someone can point that shit out to you.
yeah, and I didn't even realize it. Like I didn't the
Hmm.
way I saw it, I was like, oh, daddy issues. I was abandoned. You know what I mean? That's what we
Yeah.
all usually go to. But she was
Yeah.
like, no, it's just all this bad. When this happened to you, you were alone. When this happened, you were led to be alone. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was something in you where it's just like you no longer feel safe when you're by yourself. Right. And she
Mm.
was like, that's where you're
Oh
codependent.
my
Girl,
God.
I know. That's
Damn.
when I tell you that shit fucked me up for like a week. I was like, oh my God, dude. Like I had to sit with that. I'm talking
Yeah.
30 years of not really, well, when did trauma start? Like 25 years of really not knowing what the fuck was going on, and to just be slapped in the face like, this is why you're like this.
Yep.
I was like, goddamn, bitch.
That's
God
crazy.
damn. Like, it fucked me up. And I feel like this is something I should tell other people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for you, I don't know what traumas you've experienced or anyone, right? It's just like, just try to correlate what has happened that could possibly have created a pattern in your life as to why you are the way you are now. Just like really
Yeah.
look deep, even for the easy things,
Oh,
as
yeah.
far as being alone. Like, I didn't even know.
I've been doing that a lot lately, but it's also like that's why therapy is so great because some people don't have that ability to do that on their own.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm so happy that I can to an extent now do that on my own. I still like would like to explore the,
Um,
possibilities of therapy and stuff, but yeah, that's the benefits of it is like a new perspective that you would never point out to yourself or
yeah.
questions that you would never ask yourself.
Yeah.
That's going to open
Exactly.
up like so many more things.
We're so one-sided, right? And I need to say this too. Like, I know that I mentioned Trinity Wellness earlier, but sometimes people don't really want to talk to a therapist because, first of all, that shit is so fucking expensive. Like,
Yes.
girl, that shit could easily go to like 180 just for like an hour session. No one could pay that money. I couldn't even do it. Like, and I still really can't. But there are resources out there. There are services out there where it's not technically, like, you know how I was talking about how Trinity Wellness is a very, it's about mental health and not mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So what Trinity Wellness offers is sessions for mental health, not
Mm.
necessarily where you need a doctor's. Like, you don't need a
Yeah.
doctor to tell you. This has nothing to do with medication. This has nothing to do with mental illness. That's why I was trying to distinguish those two. This has everything to do with mental illness. And sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. You need to let loose. You need to talk about your traumas. You need
You need
someone
to
to hear
get it
you
out.
from a very unbiased opinion. And that's what Trinity Wellness offers, those sessions. It's like, what, $30 for like 30 minutes, which is really nothing,
Love
right?
that.
Sometimes all you really need is that amount of time to hear someone else's output, or to just have somebody to talk to that you don't want to be close. Like how you
For
said,
sure.
sometimes you gotta talk to somebody you don't really know.
Yeah, sometimes
Right?
it's easier.
Yeah. So Trinity Wellness offers those, and sorry, I'm like talking about it just because I'm in.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
I love her. I've
Yeah.
fucking gone there for so many things. Love it
Yeah.
so
And
much.
I'm in this place right now. If there's anyone who is also in this place like me, mental wise, this is the type of shit that like she takes care of and stuff, which is
Yeah.
beautiful.
And I mean, I feel like I've definitely never said this publicly. Like I mean, I've kind of talked about the things I've gone through publicly once. I did like a YouTube video with one of my friends. He's a psychotherapist, so he's like
Oh,
actually, he does this for a living and he's licensed and
wow.
he has a series on YouTube called fuck. I forgot what it's called. Oh, I'm gonna be so mad at myself. I'll put it in the
Yeah.
things.
If it pops up,
But
just say and then edit it.
yeah, I'll put all the links and stuff. But his mission is to like break the stigma and show all the different sides of mental health and like people going through these things. And so like I talked about like everything I went through with him in a YouTube video, and it's like the first time I ever really opened up. But I've never actually like put this out there that like I've been through so many of these things and like there was nobody around me who had gone through it when I went through it
Mhm.
that I would be so fucking open to talking to anybody about. Like if they needed to get something out or if like they're going through something and don't know like what it is or like how to get through it. And obviously I'm not fucking licensed, but I can speak to my own experiences. Like sometimes it's easy to talk to someone who knows what the fuck you're thinking and what you're
Yeah.
going through. And I would be so open to talking to anyone who just needs to kind of get some shit out or be like, hey, you've been through this. What was it
Yeah.
like?
And that's why I
So
feel
I'm
like
just
I
going to put
like
that out
talking to
there.
you. Like, that's why I feel like I like talking on this too, because it's not only for your podcast, but also I'm hearing about you, and I know that we experienced some of the same things, and
Yeah,
also like kind of on the same wave when it comes to like mental health and
definitely.
like all of that stuff. You know what I mean? And this is what I was talking about when it's just like you start attracting people who are similar or who are living
Yeah.
the same lifestyle. This is what I want, right? We're trying to
Hmm.
build a collective here, like
Yes.
people who feel similarly, so that people can just be more open about it.
Yeah. Okay. So last thing I got to squeeze in here.
Yes.
Okay. So from yourself 1 year ago to now, if you could talk to yourself a year ago, what would you tell yourself?
I would just say, look where the fuck we are right now. Like we fucking made it here. You know what I mean? I don't know if like it'll be like this next year or anything, but what I was feeling in our last podcast was clearly very confusing. And you literally went through that in a whole year. And look where you are now. Look what you manifested. Look what you did for yourself. There will always be ups and downs like this for anybody, not just for myself. And I am
Mm,
super, super proud of
I love that. I love that so
you. That's
much.
so funny. I actually wrote a letter to my future self not too
Oh,
long
I've done
ago.
that too. I've done
Yeah.
that too.
No, I'm talking to my past self. I'm talking to my fucking future self. Like, yeah.
No, it's so good, especially to like reflect.
How
I
about
don't want to.
you? Wait, real quickly. 2 minutes. What would you say to your past self last year?
Oh,
Oh,
damn, that's hard.
it's okay.
I think I would tell myself to stop doubting your worth. Stop letting the imposter syndrome get to you. And I think I kind of took the whole fake it till you make it thing a little too far because like I never really believed in like anything I was doing or believed in myself. And I was like, oh, just fuck it, do it anyway. And
Yeah.
even though, yes, that got me to a good place, I will say.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe believe a little bit of the good things people say to you sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe stop trying to put yourself down and self-sabotage so much.
I
That's
love
what I would
that.
say.
And I want to add
Yeah.
on to that. I agree with you. You are amazing. I'm just telling you this right now. I think you are amazing. I think what you do is amazing. I know this shit isn't easy all the time, but you're literally going through it and you're like pushing through. I don't know what exactly you've been going through like the last couple of weeks, but it's just like seeing you is refreshing as fuck. I just want to let you know that. And I know that you're putting in hella hard work and like it's not going unnoticed, you know?
Thank you. I
I agree
appreciate
with
that.
like
I love
your
you.
present self talking to your past self, okay?